Okay, this is a video where I play Mono Blue Devotion in a standard event. This is the deck. There's only one change that I think I would make, and I'll talk about that after. But I made like a couple of little changes before I recorded this. So this deck is a deck that I like to play from time to time. It's pretty good to play if you have a quest for playing blue cards. The opponent here was doing nothing for a while, so I got to cut some of that out. And probably maybe not the best starting hand here. It's mostly fine, I guess. Playing as rogues, I was kind of... I wasn't even really using my scries because I was just expecting everything to just get milled. So I was just clicking through it and not caring. But somehow they didn't seem to have any mill cards here, which I was pretty surprised by. I could have topped an Omen and Omen of the Sea there, which would have been correct, but I was just expecting to get milled, so I didn't even bother. So all I have to do on turn 3 here is play a Gadwick for 0. It does give me more devotion, but I don't even have too much reason to even have devotion at this point. So I am playing against rogues here, but I think it's like a different kind of rogues deck. I'm sure, yeah, I was pretty sure they would have cards like Zareth, because otherwise, why would they be doing nothing here with 3 mana? Generally, the most common rogues deck is probably Lurus rogues, and they would probably just have a lot to do with 3 mana. Since pretty much every card costs less than 3. Except for cards like Into the Story. So I think I could have played the Nyx Lotus on the previous turn, but I didn't want it to get counted or something. I can't remember. So now I even have like a free turn to play the Nyx Lotus, but I don't even think I go for it. Yeah, maybe it would have been correct to just play it there. But I was kind of worried that they might have a Brazen Borrower, and then I just spend my whole turn doing nothing, and they can bounce the Nyx Lotus. But now that I have a Corridor Monitor, I can untap the Lotus as soon as I play it. I was expecting them to have Zareth San here, but I kind of wanted them to use it because then that means that they don't have any counter spells on my turn, and because they're just tapping all their mana to use Zareth. So it's not often that you don't care about being hit by Zareth San, but this was one of those occasions. I didn't have anything that great in my graveyard for them to get, just a 3/3 flyer there. And I have a ton of mana right now, so I can draw some cards with the Witching Well. I should have attacked first with all my creatures before drawing those cards then. Generally, I think generally I like to just draw cards before attacking or something like that, but in this deck, in that exact situation, that's not what you want to do. Given that I drew Gadwick, and I could have just drawn like 7 cards or something by playing my Gadwick then. But I decided not to there because maybe I could have done that anyway and just kept the Gadwick that didn't have summoning sickness. Now that I actually think about it. Yeah, this draw, drawing 3 Thassa's Oracle, I thought I was just going to get punished here because I wouldn't mind drawing all these Thassa's Oracle if I was just playing against mono red or something, because at least it'll slow them down a bit. But generally it's not what you want to draw. It's a card that you want to draw in the late game. You don't really need it in the early game, although it does allow you to kind of find what you need. But I think in that situation, I probably should have just submitted 0. I kept forgetting to do that. I kept like seeing no cards that I even wanted when I played the Thassa's Oracle, and just for some reason not even realizing that I can just throw them all away. So drawing an Arcanist Owl pretty good there. And I can even play a Corridor Monitor here after the double Owl, so that's pretty good. Arcanist Owl with Nyx Lotus works really well because it's basically free and it boosts your devotion by 4. So I was considering only drawing 4 here because there's a chance that I could draw a Glasspool Mimic, and of course I did. And that would have been able to untap the Nyx Lotus again, but I suppose all I would have been able to do was scry with the Witching Well and draw 2, which might have been enough for me to just keep going on and on if I drew some more like draw card things and ways to untap the Nyx Lotus. But I'm glad that they didn't have an extinction event here, because that's what I was really worried about. They could have just done that for even, and then all I would have is a Gadwick on the board. But now untapping with 9 devotion, I should be able to just win this turn. Just by drawing a ton of cards and then playing the Thassa's Oracle. Seagate Restoration is a card that I don't play very often, but it really works in this deck. It's a fun card, just usually most of the decks I make, I feel like it's too expensive, and if you get it in the late game, it might just draw you 1 card sometimes. But here I'm just trying to boost my devotion and draw some cards so that I can just win with the Thassa's Oracle that's in my hand. Yeah, not sure exactly how many cards are in my deck at this point, but yeah, 25, okay. So if I just draw a couple of cards, okay, I didn't need to scry then with these omens, because I'm just losing devotion. I definitely didn't play perfectly, and that was one of the cases. I think I was just looking for a card that drew cards, that's why I was doing all that scrying, and I hit the the Seagate Restoration there, which does draw cards. So maybe that wasn't a mistake to do that. It was funny how I had to scry so much just to get a card that was gonna draw a couple of cards. But I was probably close enough that I could basically just play the the Thassa's Oracle there without having to do that. So I played against Mono Red here. Even though I was playing first, I didn't get the corridor monitor until turn 3, which was pretty annoying. And yeah, they play 3 1-drops on the first 2 turns before I even can play anything other than an Omen of the Sea, so not the best start. So I didn't really think I had a chance to come back in this game. I do have the Brazen Borrower, but I can only do so much. Especially when they also get a Brazen Borrower from their Robber of the Rich. So that was a pretty quick game there. And then Mono Red again. Do I also lose this game? Probably. Although I do have the corridor monitors this time, I am playing second. I thought this game was actually going pretty well though. They had to just pay 1 there just to deal 3. And I don't know why they did that. If they had I feel like it would have been better if they had a 3 mana spell to just play that. But they probably also had a Stomp or something. And they gave me this double block here, which I think was a mistake by them. Because they have to pay 1 mana just to trade 1 for 1. So I was pretty happy with that. But I don't think that mattered. I had a chance to take the Nyx Lotus then, but I thought it would just be too slow. If I just spent this turn just playing a Nyx Lotus, I don't think I can win from that position. Especially because, of course, they have the big fiery sword here. Which, yeah, why would they attack with their 1/1s if they didn't have it? So, unless they had, I mean, they could have just had, Rimrock Knight, Bone Crusher Giant, but of course they had to have the Embercleave. So, yeah, the one card I was looking for there was Brazen Borrower, because it's like the only thing that keeps me alive at this point. But I didn't really have the opportunity to not be dead. Because I've already taken too much damage from that 1 turn when they Embercleave me. I'm not sure why they wouldn't just play Anax out again. But yeah, the charge is just going to kill me anyway, so it doesn't matter. The charge is going to hit me for 1, and then they're just going to stomp me for the next 2. But I kind of just wanted to see what was on top, and there was another Brazen Borrower. But I don't think I can come back from that game, given that there's no life gain in this deck. Being at 3 life against Mono Red is never what you want, and here I am 3 games in a row, Mono Red again. Maybe it's the worst matchup for this deck. I didn't really need the Corridor Monitor here, so being able to kill the Charger and then just have them stomp it was kind of fine. Yeah, and there I made a mistake. I should have just submitted 0. I didn't want either of those cards, given that I already had an Nyx Lotus in hand and a Seagate Restoration. I could have blocked there, but 100% they wouldn't make that attack unless they had a Rimrock Knight or a Shock. and I need the devotion. I can't afford to lose the devotion. So I'm not going to throw away Thassa's Oracle for a shock there. So the Witching Well is kind of free because it boosts your devotion and it gives a Scry 2, which is relevant when I'm about to play a Gadwick. I could have played a Seagate Restoration here to draw one more card, but I would have to pay 3 life in order to do that, and I don't really want to do that against mono red. And yeah, I just play a basic land there rather than playing a Seagate Restoration tapped. Because I have another basic anyway, and maybe I'll end up using both of these. Probably not, but I can generate quite a bit of mana if I do find a way to untap this Nyx Lotus. So I guess I'm kind of just looking for that artifact creature that untaps my artifacts, the Corridor Monitor, and I've drawn one at this point. And I couldn't draw another one, so they got another turn here. If I had have drawn a Corridor Monitor, the game would be over this turn, because pretty sure getting another 12 mana and playing another Seagate Restoration probably is enough for me to just keep on going and win the game with the Thassa's Oracle. They made a mistake here. They should not have let me do that with the Thassa's Oracle, because they had 2 shocks right here, and they're going to kill the owl anyway. So they just let me get the Corridor Monitor when they didn't need to do that. Did it matter anyway? Probably not. But it was definitely a better play for them, if that's what they were going to do anyway. And I was pretty glad that they didn't have an Embercleave here, because they probably could have just won that turn if they did have it. But yeah, now that I get another turn here, this game should just be over. And I should get the Thassa's Oracle win again. I already have the Glasspaw Mimic in hand to copy it. I feel like maybe I was playing these Witching Wells when I maybe shouldn't, because then I'm drawing less cards from the Seagate Restoration. The reason that I was playing them is because they cost 1 and they boost the devotion, so it's free in terms of mana. But yeah, I'd probably rather just maybe draw cards. Although Scries are still useful. And yeah, I already have the 27 devotion there for the Thassa's Oracle victory with the Glasspaw Mimic, which is a pretty good addition to this deck. It's probably maybe the only Zendikar card other than Seagate Restoration. So both of those were pretty good additions to this deck, which I already played even without those cards. So opponent here I think is playing Gruul, I'm not sure. I wasn't really scared at this point of the game, even though they were playing first. But I don't think this game went my way. So yeah, here I bounce the Loveshock Beast because I don't want them to have a great henge that they can play next turn. Also, if they just have another 1/1, they can hit me for 5 next turn, which I also don't want. So my hand here is pretty slow. Given that I had a tap land meant that I couldn't play the Brazen Borrower, but maybe I would just play the Omen anyway, I don't know. But I did want the devotion from the Brazen Borrower. But yeah, this game got out of hand like really quickly. I feel like they just must have just drawn really well, and I didn't. Oh yeah, I had 2 shots here to draw the corridor monitor, and I just didn't. So that was a lot of cards that I saw and I haven't even drawn a corridor monitor yet. And I think I needed to draw it that turn, and I probably would have just won on the spot. But here I have to block with both of my owls or I'm dead, so that reduces my devotion by 8. And then of course the next card in the deck. Of course it's 1 card away, the corridor monitor. So yeah, it's definitely not as good here now that I lost 8 of that devotion. I could have had so much mana this turn. And yeah, this was kind of confusing because I maybe had a chance to win this turn, and I don't know if it would have been correct to play the Brazen Borrower then, because it wouldn't reduce the cards in my hand, so I probably would have drawn an extra card from the Seagate Restoration. But it wouldn't have mattered anyway because I was scrying a bunch and I just didn't see the cards that I needed anyway. So that was that game. I think the one change I would make to this deck is I would just take out an island for another Seagate Restoration. Maybe that would be the only change. You do want plenty of islands because of the Castle Vantress, I suppose. But I think it's safe to cut 1. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's fine how it is. But that's probably the one change I was suggesting. Like maybe you can even just cut 2 and add another castle and another Seagate Restoration, but then, you know, that's potentially more tap lands that you're adding, which maybe you don't want. I used to have Jawari Disruption in this deck, but I just took it out because I was like, I probably don't need this. So anyway, that's it for this video. Mono Blue Devotion in a standard event. Just get that score updated maybe, because it says 3-2 at the moment, and it was 3-3. There we go, 3-3. So anyway, that's it. That's it for this video. So thanks for watching. Bye.